In today's video, I am going to be reviewing the two newest releases from SORA DORA. Mallow is already out and Jany is coming very soon. So if you want to hear my thoughts on these two new fragrances, then please keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you are visiting. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Hayley and I review fragrances. So if you haven't already guessed by the title, today I am going to be reviewing the two latest releases from SORA DORA. Mallow has just launched and Jany is coming very, very soon. I can't wait to share my thoughts with you on these two new fragrance releases. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into the review. So I have here Mallow and I have Jany, and I'm going to review Mallow first just because I've had this one in my collection a little bit longer. Now, I have reviewed this one on my channel already, but I do feel like it would be useful to review these side by side in case you were not sure which one you wanted to sample first. And I love SORA DORA as a house. If you watch my channel, you will know this already. I have such a soft spot for a few of their fragrances. Mandorle continues to be a masterpiece in my eyes. I love Orchidée Rouge. I love Broceliande. But Mallow and Jany, wow, wow, wow. So let's get into it. I am going to do a fresh spray. So I have been wearing this one. I know my thoughts on it already, but I do want to talk through how I perceive the fragrance. And I will pop the official notes on the screen too, but I want to talk through how I personally perceive this fragrance. So Mallow is incredibly delicious. I would say both of these fragrances have gourmand touches, but they have other things going on in the composition that stops them from being super edible in my opinion. So Mallow. So I am hit with a big burst of orange blossom, sweet fruity notes, powdery nuances, and vanilla. Now, I described this in my previous review as smelling a little bit like an orange marshmallow, but let's say orange blossom marshmallow, and also strawberry marshmallows. Now, you could pick out different types of berry notes within this composition, in my opinion, but me personally, I perceive it to be more of a strawberry marshmallow. Now, that doesn't mean this smells juvenile. Please do not think that. This has such an elegant twist to it due to the violet note, and it has this really powdery, almost vintage nuance to it, but it's made modern. I feel like this is completely unisex. That violet just stops it from being cloyingly sweet, and it makes this one of the best orange blossom dominant fragrances on the market, in my personal opinion. Now, on the skin, this one wears beautifully. It has a big scent bubble and a beautiful scent trail. And when I think about this type of DNA as a fragrance, for me personally, they don't necessarily last all day, whereas Mallow sticks to my skin like glue. It reacts beautifully with my own individual chemistry. And it's sweet, but it's not overly sweet, as I've just mentioned. That violet gives this a sophisticated touch, and it adds to that kind of powdered sugar vibe that Mallow has overall. I think this is one of the best takes on marshmallow that I've personally ever smelt. You are getting a lot of that orange blossom in the opening, and then I am getting this soft cloud of vanilla too. For me, I am picking out a strawberry type of note, but that could be more perceived to other people as raspberry or some other red berries. Like I say, we will all perceive the notes differently, but it's just what I am getting. So overall, I think this is just such a fantastic composition. Like I mentioned already, the longevity is really, really strong, and it does leave a beautiful scent trail. So if you like the sound of a slightly fruity, orange blossom, powdery fragrance that has that violet nuance and it's still a little bit vanillic, then I highly recommend checking out Mallow. It's definitely quite musky in the dry down, more like a powdery musk, but it has that sweetness to it as well. So I do really love Mallow. I feel like it's one of the best executed within this type of category, and I highly recommend it. The next fragrance is Jany, and this one is not released yet. It launches on the 15th of November. Like I said, I did sample this one back in March, but I am rediscovering this one at the moment. This one is newer to my collection than Mallow, but I still have my thoughts. I do still need a little bit more time with it. I've worn it once, and yes, it is exactly what I remember it to be. Now, if you are a Gourmand lover and you like the idea of an apple pie or a tarte tatin, you need to check out Jany. This one is incredibly delicious, but let me spray this one first. Now, of course, I'm going to put the notes on the screen too, so you can see what's listed, and then you can also see how I perceive those notes. Let me just spray this one freshly. I have to also say I really love the white bottles. Normally SORA DORA comes in black frosted glass with a black marble cap, and I do really love these new white bottles. I think they look stunning in my collection. I can smell this one in the air, and let me tell you now, I love this fragrance. It was love at first sniff when I tried it back in March. It was actually my favorite out of the two when I first sampled them. But at the end of this video, I will talk about how I'm feeling now, which one is my favorite, but oof, okay. SORA DORA, what are you doing to me? This is such an edible gourmand, but it does have twists to it in the dry down that stops it being too edible if that is not your thing. I need a moment to myself here. I am getting, you know, the apple sauce that's in an apple pie or the tarte tatin. So the apple has been cooked down and it's started to caramelize. This is what I'm getting. It's a caramelized apple in the opening. I am getting an almost buttery pastry accord. This smells really realistic in terms of smelling like a tarte tatin or an apple pie, that type of thing. But I'm also getting some other fruity nuances coming through. So there's apricot and there's also osmanthus, and that gives this an overall jammy apricot vibe to my nose. It's a little bit spicy, but just a tad. There's not too much spice in here. It doesn't necessarily smell like the holidays to me. However, I do feel like this one is so perfect for the fall and winter. I'm getting some soft kind of vanillic vibes in here. It's a little bit musky too. And it's just overall so delicious. I just want to spray this one on my hand quickly because I remember it pulling a little bit different on my skin chemistry. And that is always the way. I would highly recommend sampling your fragrances on the skin because it's going to tell a different story. Our individual skin chemistry will always react a little bit different to how it will smell on a paper test strip or how it will smell on other people. Yeah, okay. The musk is starting to come out a little bit more on my skin. I'm getting more vanilla too. There's an ambery nuance. It's a little bit more decadent on the skin. I'm getting that buttery pastry as well. I truly feel like this is going to be such a hit. It also is a little bit nutty too. And overall, I find this to be such a delicious bakery style fragrance, but it's sophisticated. I will say that as well. And on my skin, it dries down to be a little bit more, it's not completely dried down now, but it dries down to be almost a sweet, almondy, nutty, musky vanilla. And then you still get slight hints of that kind of apple vibe. It's truly such a delicious fragrance. And sorry if I was getting a little bit excited in this video about it, but I have been waiting for this one since March, as I've said. And I know I'm going to be wearing this one a lot in this season, but also in winter too. So Jany, of course, I highly recommend, as well as Mallow. But which one would I recommend first? This one is going to be such a difficult question to answer. So I have Mallow here too. They are very, very different. it's difficult to compare the two in terms of which one I prefer. So originally I loved Jany so much. It was the one that stuck with me back in March. However, since getting to know Mallow, I absolutely love how this wears on my skin. It's my favorite sweet marshmallowy orange blossom fragrance now. Whereas Jany, I need a little bit more time to wear it, but I do feel like this one still could be my favorite out of the two, just because this one is very unique. I don't have anything that quite smells like Jany. Similar to Mallow, actually. I don't have anything that quite smells like Mallow, but I have other things that are kind of similar. However, I will say the longevity and the scent bubble of Mallow wins in this category for me. So I think it's going to be personal preference. They are very different fragrances. Do you want to go for that warm bakery style apple pie tart tatin vibe, or do you want a marshmallow orange blossom violet musk? Very, very different. Try to get your noses on them if you can, but Jany doesn't launch till the 15th of November. Mallow is now out, so that could help your decision. You might want to hold out for Jany, but either way, both I would highly recommend, and I can't wait to review them more in the future. But I'm so happy to have these in my collection. I have been working with SORA DORA since the early days of my channel, and I love working with them. I love the house. I do have a 10% off discount code. It is Haley10. I will always have that in the description. So you can save a little bit of money too on these fragrances, but no pressure, of course. I will try to find some samples. But Mallow is so new, I don't know if there's going to be many decants available of this one, but if I can find some, I will link it down below. And of course, Jany hasn't released yet, so I won't be able to link anywhere that stocks a sample right now, but I'm sure once it launches, there will be decants available. So I have been super excited about this release, which is why I chose to do a standalone video on these two new fragrances. Are you excited for Jany or Mallow? Please do let me know down in the comments below. Have any of you sampled Mallow yet? Or maybe you've sampled both. Maybe you attended one of the fragrance exhibitions. I would love to hear your feedback in the comments section below. But thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much and goodbye.